If you asked me if I thought that we would end up in a tiny home or in a small space, I'd say probably not.
When we first intended to move into a garage, we thought our neighbors would think we were crazy, but instead people love it. If anything, people seem to mistake our home for a bar or a restaurant. And so at night, when we're hanging out with friends drinking a glass of wine, there's a little confusion as people walk by and see this well-lit space and people drinking. You know, they walk up and be like, "What are you serving?"
When we first had this idea to turn the garage into our home, we decided that we wanted everything to be tucked away in a space so that when you walk in, it's very clean, it's very sleek, it's very minimalist.
The overall look and feel or aesthetic of our place has somehow become very industrial. It wasn't part of the intent, but we built everything by hand because it fit what we had available and it fit our budget at the time. We found a community wood shop to go work at. I taught myself to weld. Started creating some small pieces of furniture, bar stools, chairs, end tables. And that aesthetic of the steel and reclaimed wood kind of spilled over into the cabinetry and the rest of our space as well. Our concrete countertops are a perfect example of that. The most difficult conversation when it comes to small space living is storage. What am I going to do with my stuff? Where am I going to put everything? Luckily for us, that was a bit of an easier conversation because we had already purged most of our belongings.
The process of downsizing was over the course of many years. At first, it was just putting stuff in bins and tucking them away, and if we didn't open them for a few months, then we would just go and donate them. From there, we sold even more and gave away even more because we were going to road trip, and our road trip was open-ended. We didn't know what we were going to do afterwards. So to store stuff just didn't feel right. When you downsize and you get rid of a lot of stuff, there's a real freedom there, a real simplification.
Jen and I left our 9-to-5 jobs to go travel and explore and take deep breaths. We moved into our 1967 old split window bus, very romantic idea, but only about 47 square feet as we calculated it. So that was our smallest living situation. After a year and a half on the road, we came back to Portland to say hi to friends and family because we missed them and realized that we actually love Portland and we love our home here. We still had a 3-bedroom house that was sitting here being rented to another family. It was time for that lease to expire and we asked them to leave. They begged us to stay and we realized that we don't have the stuff to fill a 3-bedroom house anymore anyway. And so it finally hit us that there's this garage that's going unused that we weren't using, the tenants weren't using, and we could just convert the garage and live in it.
Because Brian and I live in the garage, we are able to rent out the main house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They pay essentially the mortgage, and so Brian and I live in our garage rent-free, mortgage-free.
We both had jobs that probably should have been perfect jobs, you know? They paid well, but we just never quite felt right. 70 hours a week, it just didn't seem a good fit to us. And Jen is kind of a hippie at heart and was always kind of saying we should just run away, we should run away. And I don't know, I come from an upbringing and, you know, society tells us that's not okay. And so I was like, that's not okay. What about our 401k? What about our savings and our retirement and the plan? We kind of compromised and set a plan in place. For me, it wasn't just run away, it was have a buffer in our finances. So when we came back, we didn't have to go beg for jobs. We could actually try to do something that we wanted.
Freedom is really our mantra right now. Freedom in our schedules, freedom to make choices that make us happy. As we're talking about the designs and what the space should be, we talked a lot about our lifestyle and what we wanted to do in the space. So we love to drink wine, we love to have people over. Brian fabricated a wine rack for us so that it's not just functional for holding wine, but it's also a beautiful piece. The house numbers are made out of screws. We had a whole bunch of screws left over from a project.
We wanted everything to have more than one use. And so, you know, the bar on our island, for example, is an island bar and a great place for sitting, but then can spin out so that we can actually sit 6 people for dinner when our friends and family come over. That type of transitional space or flexible furniture and uses just allows our place to live much larger than it actually is. The stairs that allow us to get up to our loft is actually a set of cabinetry as well. And so they actually push into our closet or our cabinets and then pull back out for us to climb up to the loft.
They were designed primarily with our dog in mind so that she could climb up and down. One of my favorite places in the house is the shower. It feels like you're outdoors, which I love, and there are 2 shower heads, so it's a bit romantic.
Basically, our living space is intended to just spill out to outside. And so our largest luxury item in creating this space was this very large accordion door system that folds open to kind of remove the wall between inside and outside. Most of our living space becomes kind of our front yard as we open the doors and kind of hang out inside as well as outside, talking to neighbors and people that are biking and walking by. We met people who said, hey, can you help me do that? We want to live in a similar space, or we want to remodel our home or our garage to do the same thing. And so we eventually started helping them do so. And Zen Box Design was born, which is basically a small side business we have of helping people design tiny spaces.
You can do anything you want in this life. Just go after it, whatever makes you happy. Don't settle. It's this beautiful little Zen sanctuary, and it's cheap living too.